We need to be good communicators with our clients, setting boundaries and setting structure. And that can be hard. We have a lot of neurodiversity in our business. That's who we are. We want to be outside of the frame, outside of the square, learning and achieving and giving. But that means that we need to have alarm set to do things. We need to have time frames to do things, and we need to wake ourselves up and get ourselves out of whatever it is we're doing when we're not meant to be doing it, so that we can move on to the next thing, so that we don't lose our way, go down that rabbit hole and never come out of that rabbit hole. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. Don't forget to subscribe to receive the weekly episodes. And if you want to connect with me, always check the show notes, because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments and, of course, to join the Academy, the membership group, where there's constant connection and community with like-minded practitioners. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? A lot's going on in the world right now, wouldn't you agree? And for me, there's lots going on as well. So I've been a little bit behind the scenes. So you will hopefully have enjoyed February, and you will hopefully have downloaded the worksheets from www.geraldineheadley.com. I think it might be /podcast, or you just scroll down to the bottom of the page and it's there. If you haven't previously signed up, then you sign up, you create a password, and you can go in and then you can work on the year ahead using everything that we did in February. But here we are in March, and there's a lot going on. It's pretty overwhelming. The whole world is pretty overwhelming right now, or at least it is for me. And every time I turn on the news, I see something else that disparages women or healthcare or who we are, what we're doing, and where we're at. And so I think it's really important for us as individuals and running our own business is that with our clients, we set those boundaries, just like we set those boundaries with the information that we're absorbing from the world, from social media, knowing that a lot of what we're receiving is created by AI. And this isn't, here I am without the use of AI. But it's really important that we're able to define where we are and what we're doing, that we turn off some of those things and give ourselves a break. But at the same time, that means that we have to be able to have those boundaries and communicate those boundaries to our clients, to our family, and for ourselves, so that we get that downtime. So we get that time away from all of the stuff that's happening around us while we try and run our business and do our thing and try and sort out the chatter from what's really happening. So today I thought I'd talk about, I've got them written down, so if you're watching the YouTube video, then you'll see me looking down, the importance of setting realistic expectations with our clients, because that's something we need to set for ourselves as well, and even in our private life and the things we do. We're going to think about methods to communicate to others, not just our clients, but to others, the boundaries that we set and how we can not upset people by informing them of our boundaries and use those to our advantage. And finally, offer ways to meet client goals without overpromising, because I think that's really important. It's really easy to overpromise. I remember being in clinic with a colleague. She was training, I was training, and she said to the client at the end of the meeting, "You're going to love what I've given you. You're going to feel so great. It's going to be absolutely brilliant for you." Now, those are kind of really good things to say, because we're setting that positivity, aren't we? We're setting expectation though. And if they don't feel great at the end of it, who are they going to blame? Are they going to say, well, it's all your fault, and yet they didn't do anything, you asked them anyway? So we do have a fine line that we have to walk. It's like if you were to go to hospital A surgeon has to lay out all of the awful things that can happen if you have the surgery, even if it's just the removal of an ingrown toenail or something. There will still be a huge list of all the things that can go wrong. And that gets people really worried about the negative outcome, even though it is something really minor, because things do happen. Statistically, they can happen, can't they? And so when we set expectations, we have to be really thinking about that outcome, about where we're going with this, what's going to happen, and how our client is going to feel about everything. Now, when we're talking to our clients, we need to start at the beginning. And it's the same with family, friends, everybody else. We need to set those expectations and those boundaries. We shouldn't always spend our time saying yes, that we will do things. Sometimes no can be really hard, especially for women to say. Right? We're brought up to believe that we have to say yes, we have to do things, we have to do what others want us to do. And so it's hard to say no. It's also hard to ask for money for the work that you're doing. There's a number of things that I see on repetition in the groups that people struggle with. And one of them is billing and taking money, even though you've worked for it and you've got higher education and you've got all of the things, you have the knowledge, and you're not just spouting from some random blog off the internet. And when you write a blog, you're actually putting behind it all the research. So we've got to really think, where are we with our boundaries and how can we create them? So my number one boundary is just my phone. My phone doesn't accept unknown callers. Now you might go, oh, I've got to do that because I'm building my business. And what if I don't answer my phone and the person, they don't leave a message and I don't get that client? Well, you know what? I don't answer the phone when I'm on the loo and it'll go to voicemail. And my voicemail says, hey, leave me a message or send me a text. I'd love to stay in contact with you. And then people will hear that message and go, oh, okay. They're not thinking, oh, she's on the loo at the moment. She's not going to answer a phone. They're not thinking, but if they might be thinking, she's with another client right now. And you can say that. The other thing I do with my phone is it's in focus till, 7:30 in the morning. It doesn't answer unknown phone numbers anyway. So none of my clients are going to ring me before 7:30 in the morning. They might message me. That's fine. It's not going to ping until 7:30. But at 6:30 p.m., it also goes back into focus and night mode. So I've set some really basic boundaries that, I don't know, I could play a game on my phone if I want to. I'm not going to be interrupted by those messages. I can watch TV on my phone, or I can put my phone down and enjoy time with my family or go out and about. I can ignore my business because it's not essential. I don't have to be answering my phone out of hours. Okay. I do a late night, and yes, I would answer my phone on those late nights, but only if I haven't got a client with me, and chances are I'll have a client with me. So they would go to voicemail anyway. So don't be scared to not answer your phone to an unknown number, because you could save yourself a load of scam calls. I used to get them all the time. And since I've stopped answering unknown numbers, the number of scam calls that I get has massively reduced. So let's set some basic boundaries for yourself at home with how you work and what you do. All right. So let's start with your phone. Let's start those boundaries, simple boundaries with your phone. Then with your clients, now they might want to text you that they've come to your appointment. You spend an hour and a half with them, which you're not going to do anymore. Remember, it's an hour, it's under an hour for that first appointment. Go and watch my videos, if you haven't already, about under 1 hour appointments and how to get it all in the timing. So if you spend a ton of time with them, they think that you are there for them always. You're there for them forever. They can just message you any old time. They can email you. They can ring you, and you're there for them. We don't want that. We want them to do this themselves. We want them to achieve change with our guidance, but not with us doing the work. All right. They need our guidance. You hear me say it all the time. The All Blacks didn't become the greatest rugby team on earth because they sat and didn't do the work. They just went to one practice or one coaching session and, hey, presto, they're the best team in the world. No, they practice every single day. They have coaching every single day. They speak to people every day about what they do. And when they speak to those people every day about what they do, they speak to them within a set time. The coach comes out for a particular time. It all happens in a length of time. And that's what we have to be with our clients. We have to be there for that set of time. And then if they start emailing you a bunch of emails, then that's okay, because you can email back. I often have Rebecca and Rachel. Never heard of them. Never employed a Rebecca or a Rachel, but they're the ones who often do my email replies, saying that if I haven't set an automatic reply, which you should do, and I do like getting them when I send out my emails to everyone, I get an automatic reply. I'm like, yes, these girls have got it good. They've sorted themselves out. They're sending out automatic replies. It's what I like to see. But if you haven't set up an automatic reply, then you just send up an automatic reply from Rebecca or Rachel or whomever. If your name's Rebecca or Rachel, sorry about that. But you just say, hi, whoever. Thanks so much for getting in contact with, in this case, Geraldine. She's really looking forward to seeing you at your next appointment. And I have added this to the list to be discussed for then. Why don't you save any other issues you have until your appointment on the blah? And we look forward to speaking with you. And she looks forward to speaking with you then. The team at Highgate Proactive Health, or cheers, Rebecca, the team at Highgate Proactive Health. So something along those lines. So you're setting the boundaries. You're already cutting off that person before they start. They wouldn't be emailing their doctor or their dentist, would they? They'd be going in for an appointment. And that's what we want. And if they need to come in sooner, then that reply can be, hi, I can see your concerns here, but you're not booked in to see Geraldine for 3 weeks. How about we move that appointment forward? And I would try and pick a very similar time. So if I'm seeing them in 3 weeks' time on a Tuesday at 2:00, I would try and bring them the nearest Tuesday possible at 2:00. So obviously that's hopefully a free time for them. So how about we see you in next week, Tuesday, 2:00, instead of 3 weeks' time, so that you can go through these issues with Geraldine and that sort of thing. Because they can come from your info at email address or your business email address, whatever it may be. And they set those boundaries without you being the one to say, no, I'm not doing it. You've actually passed that on to your pretend secretary or helper. It's a bit like I was talking with women that had our wills done, and the lawyer I was talking with, and I said, yeah, there's so many things that are fantastic. If somebody else in authority says a child can't do something, then you can just say to them, no, you can't do that. Sorry, the government says. And she said, I can't wait till they bring in the rule about social media for 16-year-olds, because then I'll be able to say it's somebody else. And I was like, absolutely. I mean, clearly any child can create their own account. They'll just, if they want to. But the simple fact is you have control. And my children, when they were P-platers, I was like, no, you have to be home at midnight. The government says midnight, so you have to be home at midnight. I never had an argument. There was no groundings. There was no nothing, because the government says you have to be home at midnight on 0 alcohol. So yeah, take the car. Off you go. There's lots of things that can help us with these boundaries. And one of these things sometimes is passing the buck a little bit if you can't do it yourself, and you can't do that no yourself. All right. We've got other people to back us up. In my case, Rebecca or Rachel. If it's your P-plate children, you've got the government. We can just say no. When somebody rings and says, oh, I want to know if I can get this product from you, it's just, well, no, the TGA says no. Sorry, can't. Have to have an appointment. So it's great having resources and other ways of saying no, as well as just saying no yourself. So we need to set those boundaries. Sit down. When is the best time for you to work? So when is the best time for you to say, I don't know, I worked 3 days a week. I really didn't want any more than that. So I had one late night on a Monday, then I had early morning, and then I had an afternoon. So I was covering sort of all the shifts and all the times, right? And apart from the Monday, because that started at 2:00 in the afternoon, but often I'd work earlier than that, but it would just depend on childcare and things. But the other days both covered a lunchtime so that people could come in their lunchtime and see me. So we need to sit down and go, these are the times that I'm going to work. These are the times that I'm seeing clients, and this is when they can see me. And I can set those boundaries. It saves you anxiety, worry, upset. It means that you have other time. You can designate other time to do things. You can say, well, I'm going to work my late night was 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. and I was solidly booked always. But prior to that, I could do some research. I could catch up on stuff. I could make sure that things were done if I had the time and I wasn't doing child pickups or whatever myself. And it meant that everything flowed that bit easier because I gave myself time. So Tuesday morning would kind of be a paperwork morning, and then I did Tuesday afternoon, so that I sat down and I did work. What I don't do is a load of research on a person before I see them. That's something else, because that's great and everything. I mean, I will look and, it says, oh, they've got, I don't know, what's a fair? Myasthenia gravis. I've got myasthenia gravis and I'm coming to see you. And you're like, oh my God, I can't remember what that is. I can't remember what that is. So you just Google it, right? Or whatever your, Safari it, you know what it is. The client comes in and then they come in and they proceed to tell you that they're actually there about their acne. They just happen to have myasthenia gravis as well. Doing loads and loads of background research before you see someone has always caught me out. When I've done very little research, I've always done better with clients than when I've done, because they'll often know more about their illness than you do. They might be there about something else. So designate your time, sit down and boundary out your time and have cutoffs for things. The realistic expectations I talked about right at the beginning with our clients and not over-promising. It's really important that we do have realistic expectations. So I do a lot of gut work. So I'll say to my clients, I would hope that you will start feeling better in about 3 days, to be honest. You will see some changes. And then in about 10 days, this is going to happen. And then we're going to feel this and this. And I'm also going to set those expectations and boundaries with them, because I'm going to say to them, I need to see you for the first few appointments. They're going to be 2 weeks apart. There's going to be about the first 3 appointments. Then after that, we move to 3 weekly until we've got things down and things are working well. And then we can start spreading out your appointments. And that way they know, hey, this is how often I'm going to see her. They're expecting it at the end of the appointment. I take their money. And if I've forgotten to book them in again, which I now have a little system, a little checkbox thing when I finish so that I don't forget, even after all these years, there are things you forget at the end. They will say to me, when will I see you next? Because I've set that expectation that they will be seeing me. I use my language and my skills to encourage them to give me their information, but also to set my boundaries and for them to understand where I'm coming from, how long things are going to take. I do have a full coaching education thing in my library there if you wanted to do it. www.geraldineheadley.com. Don't forget that is there if you want it. We need to be good communicators with our clients, setting boundaries and setting structure. And that can be hard. We have a lot of neurodiversity in our business. That's who we are. We want to be outside of the frame, outside of the square, learning and achieving and giving. But that means that we need to have alarm set to do things. We need to have time frames to do things in. We need to wake ourselves up and get ourselves out of whatever it is we're doing when we're not meant to be doing it, so that we can move on to the next thing, so that we don't lose our way, go down that rabbit hole and never come out of that rabbit hole. So setting timers, creating structure, creating boundaries is going to help you in your business. It can't not help you in your business. Okay. So what did I say I was going to talk about? I was going to talk about the importance of setting realistic expectations. So making sure that you do that so they know where they're going. Now, I will never say to a client, we're going to start you on this product first and this product and this product. And then in 4 weeks' time, we're going to go to this product and this product and this product, because a couple of problems there. One is they could just go out and buy the whole lot. And then in 3 weeks' time, things have changed and you change and you say, well, actually, you don't need that one now. Or we've discovered that that isn't what you need because we've done a hair tissue mineral analysis. And so that isn't what you need. We need to do this instead. And they'll go, but I've bought everything. Or in some cases, they don't come back. So like, well, I've got it here as a list, so I can just go and get it on the internet. I don't need you anymore. And yet there might be those changes in a few weeks' time. So when we're structuring with our clients, so I would say, because I do a lot of gut work, I'd say we're doing a weed and seed, then we're doing a heal and seal, and then we're doing the maintain and recover phase. They have the titles of my phases, but they don't have the specifics. Yes, we have to give them specifics. So if you give them a herbal medicine, you're meant to write on the bottle exactly what's in the herbal medicine. Little story there. I don't know if you have time for a little story. Little story there. I was in the UK and I was working in neonatal intensive care, and this man collapsed. So then you're doing CPR on an adult. He was a grandfather. You're doing CPR on an adult on the unit. It's all a bit of a nightmare because everything's tiny. So you've got to call for a crash cart from somewhere else. You've got your adult crash cart that everyone's like, can't remember. So we're doing CPR. We get this guy back. He goes off to A&E. Off he goes. And he's been taking a Chinese medicine for his leg. Now, that would have been great. However, he'd bought it somehow in China. He'd been in China and he'd bought it and he'd brought it back to the UK. So there was no practitioner there for him to speak to. And he'd been taking this linctus that was meant to go on his skin. It wasn't for ingestion. And it was all written in Chinese on the bottle, and he didn't speak Chinese. So there can be problems with people just taking whatever, whenever, and we have to be careful. I mean, that wasn't the Chinese medicine practitioner's fault. He explained to the man it was meant to rub it on his legs, and the man forgot and started taking it. So the man was afterwards, he was fine. The man afterwards was like, oh, that was my fault. I took it. He did say, I forgot. So let's not overpromise. Sorry, that was a segue story there. But realistic. We've got to be realistic, and we've got to set the goals. So that means our clients need to know how long approximately things are going to take. But in saying that, it's not necessarily how long it's going to take to get over something, but it might be how often they're seeing you to resolution. So really want you to think about not just your boundaries, but timings, timeframes, how you speak to your clients about them achieving and you setting realistic goals for them with them. They have to be part of that creation. It's not just you. It's not you saying, okay, so I need you to take this 3 times a day, and you should take that 3 times a day, and you should go for a walk, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. Because they will very quickly go, I haven't done any of those things. And they'll call you and they go, I have to cancel my appointment because I haven't done anything you asked me to do. Now, that's actually your fault, not their fault. So in that case, it's like, no, you need to come back to your appointment because we need to realign the goals. And you need to make sure that you can achieve the goals we set because I've obviously asked too much of you. So it's really important that when we look at goal setting, we absolutely include the client and we get their okay on everything. And if we think that they're not going to be able to do it, or that's not something they're going to be capable of achieving, that even though they say, yeah, I can do it, then you change the frame, right? So I had a young guy, yonks ago now, he worked in the wine industry. Can't remember what was wrong with him. No clue at all. But I remember him because his diet was okay, but because he was in his car a lot, because he drove to the Barossa every day, hour's drive. And so he would take his breakfast in his esky, he'd take his lunch in his esky. He had an esky in the boot full of cola. So I was like, well, we had to change what went into the esky, and we had to change his dinners as well, because then he'd buy something on the way back. So within takeout companies, not thinking about burger takeout companies, but rather ones that do wraps, sandwiches and things like that, often they will do salads, and they're at service stations and things as well. So you can go in and you can avoid the bread, you can avoid the rubbish, and you can have it, they make salads, or you can reduce it to a wrap with all the salady things and the protein. So what I did with him, because it was a lot of change, I can't remember what I gave him or why he was seeing me. But anyway, I think I did a heavy metal test on him. Not surprising, really, because wine industry is a lot of spraying of vines. But so what I said to him was, it would be really good if instead of you having like this 6-pack of cola, is if perhaps, I know there's still the sugar in it, what about you have a juice, you buy a juice, like a bottle of juice that's pre-made, and you actually cut it. So it's half juice, half water. It's still got flavor. It's still got taste. It's still got sugar in it. It's still going to give you a bit of a burst because it's got the fruit in there. And it's not fizzy drink, which the fizzy drink is pretty bad for your teeth. The dentists don't like fizzy drinks. We don't really like fizzy drinks in the stomach as well. There's all sorts of negatives on what's in these fizzy drinks because we don't actually know what all those chemicals are. So I was like, it'd be really good if we could change what you drank, the breakfast. And I said, let's just start with breakfast, shall we? Is that the easiest thing for you to start with? And he was like, yeah, that's the easiest thing. And I said, great, let's just start with breakfast. And I said, it'd be wonderful if we see more salad and wraps for lunch and for dinner at that takeaway that you frequent if you start getting salads. But obviously, I want you to work on the breakfast. Let's start small and work up because, we need more protein in the diet. It'd be really good if we could cut back on all the cola and all the fizzy drinks and the crisps and things that are in there. These are big, hard ask that I'm giving you here. So it'd be really good. Let's just start on the breakfast and then later on we can work on lunch and dinner. So basically I told him the things that I ultimately wanted to do for lunch and dinner, but the expectation wasn't there. So when he came back to see me 2 weeks later, he was like, right, I've taken it all on board. This is what I'm doing. This is how I structure my day. I buy 1 big bottle of juice. I put it all into small bottles and I put water on it. So I've actually only got the 1 2-litre bottle or whatever it is. I've used 1 litre of it spread over a number of small bottles that I keep in the esky. They're half water, half juice. And he said, I like to do the small bottles because I take them out the esky, I go off. And if I take a big bottle with me, it warms up too quickly. And we are in South Australia. It's a really smart move there. He just takes out a small bottle. He said, so I do that every day. He said, I do it at night, get them in the esky ready to go. It's actually easier than what I was doing before because I was going via the servo and buying the colas in cans and then putting them in. And he said, and my breakfast, I'm making it at night, the night before. It's in the esky as well. So my morning is much easier than it was. Thanks for the recipes. And he said, because of that, I've been able to now change my lunches and sort my dinner out. So I've done everything you asked. And I was like, wow, you did that. And then they say that you must be proud of me. I'm like, no, mate, it's not nothing to do with me. You should be proud of yourself because you achieved that. You did that for you because you understood the ramifications of carrying on the way that you were. So you have done that for you and you need to be proud of you. When anyone says to me, I'm so proud of you, mate, I don't care. I need to be proud of me. You need to be proud of you for what you've achieved. So let's set those boundaries and let's set those intentions and let's get March underway because this is in Adelaide, it's Mad March. I've got a lot going on. I'm moving house. We've sold our house and we've bought another house. I've had some family tragedy. So that's, there's all sorts of things going on, but you still need to be you and you still need to achieve. And to do that, you need to set your phone on timers, chances are, so that you can get all the jobs done that you need to get done. And you need to ask for help. So no problems asking for help. I have VAs that will help you. If you need short-term VAs, get in contact with me. They will help you out because we get overwhelmed so easily. And at the moment, I'm really noticing how overwhelmed I am because it's just everything's happened at once. And without the support that I have, I would really be struggling right now. So don't you suffer unnecessarily when there's help out there for you and there's ways you can create those boundaries and prevent that overwhelm from happening. And they're things that I'm using. They're things I've always used so that I have time for me and I'm able to get all of the things done. So it's quite a lot to take in today, isn't it? Hopefully I didn't repeat myself and hopefully you've learned something. And if you've enjoyed it, obviously it's the usual thing, scroll down, 5-star review. Don't want anything but a 5-star review. Obviously there's a couple of ones there and no comment because that's what people do, but don't be one of those. And make sure you're asking your clients to review you too. Actually, I'll talk about that another time, hey? We'll do that as another one here in March. So have a good one, look after yourself, and I'll catch up with you really soon. See ya. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.